Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Noah Healy. And I hope I pronounced your name right.
That's it. Yep.
Oh, thank you so much for saying yes to this podcast episode for our interview. I can tell our audience a little bit about you. You are a market designer and game theorist. And for me, I had the tendency to say terrorist, but it is, yeah, because it's not my mother language. But I read it again and it is theorist working on better economic systems. After training in nuclear engineering, you worked for tech startups at the peak of the dot-com boom. Becoming fascinated by the mathematics of information and computation led to patent work on a better commodity market design. That sounds amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Absolutely. So most what I do these days is things like this: meeting new people and explaining to them the difficulties with the existing market systems and how to make improvements, mostly systemic in nature. But what really got me interested and got me into it in the first place was deep diving into the mathematics and the computation and game theory
Hmm.
are the mathematics respectively of imagination and strategy. And so it involves uh, basically a lot of daydreaming, and then trying to work out programs that actually accomplish what your imagination has encompassed. And so it's a very interesting activity, and it can be quite rewarding as well.
I think so. There were Nobel Prizes for game theory, for economics. I remember this.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, there have been quite a few. Probably the most famous was for John Nash's discovery
Mhm.
of the Nash equilibrium, which that was uh, one of the subplots of that film, Beautiful Mind.
Oh, yes, I remember that film. It's 20 years ago or so. But yeah, I loved it very much. And also that stuff. So when you said mathematics, I thought you see the world as numbers or as the matrix, or you want to measure everything.
Well, that's a fairly common misconception. Numbers are obviously a very important part of mathematics, but geometry is a numberless mathematics. Logic is a numberless mathematics, and computation actually can be accomplished just with moving characters and words around. And so, one of the things that modern generative AI is demonstrating is that there's a deep link between text that looks like what we generate as text and ideas and these incredibly big matrices of numbers, which is what the computer actually is building internally in order to be able to do that. So, the thing that's very cool about mathematics is that it's all connected. And
Mm.
so whether you're solving problems with algebra or calculus or geometry or philosophy, you always wind up with the same answer, if the problem is the same problem. And that's just really powerful, because it means that if you can take problems that traditionally have been social or political issues and get them translated into the mathematics, then these very powerful tools that have been developed over millennia by people a lot smarter than me can be brought to bear to these things and come up with entirely new points of view.
Wow, I absolutely love this. It has to do with logic or the logical mind, the left brain side.
Yeah, but also, as I said, imagination's a critical part of it as well. And so that's something that we're going to have to come to grips with, particularly now that these AIs are being used more and more in creative fields and in replacements for creative fields. So far, the AI generated stuff is very strongly curated by human hands and has a very uncanny valley like behavior where it's not that inspiring, but it's with what happened with game AI, where chess programs very clearly were artificially playing chess in different ways than us and weren't doing as well. And then with human aid, they could do as well. And now they play in a way that's considerably better than we play and is considered by some of the great experts to be even more beautiful than the way we play the game. Um, it might take more than a few years, but we might be able to see those kinds of things happen as well, and that obviously would have profound impacts on the culture, if it was possible to generate more transcendent cultural experiences for yourself from your phone or your laptop or something than a Hollywood studio or a university, arts department or something could produce.
Yeah, I loved how you used the word experience in this because it's all about experience in life. What would you say? Oh, it was you were frozen. I
Yes, yes, I saw that. So
why?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we don't have access to much outside of our own experiences, and
Mhm.
so that's a limitation that hasn't been that big a deal historically because everybody was trapped inside you know a human experience, and so what's the difference? But now that we have computers that, for all intents and purposes, can be immortal. Hang on.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
there are telephone exchanges that have been in continuous operation for close to a century at this point. So the new kinds of players in our social game are entering, and that is changing things a lot, and that's going to change to respond to those changes.
Yes, that's very important. Change is everywhere and every time, even if we don't notice it. So my next question would be, who inspires you?
Uh, I take a lot of inspiration from historical figures. One of the things about mathematics is that uh, we we don't always know exactly who made every single breakthrough, but we can very freshly these very large scale innovations. So Archimedes, Gauss, Turing, uh,
Mhm.
these giants of the field are people that you can access and see their thinking, and it's stunning.
Yes, I love what you said. Also, Alan Turing, there was a film. I know the it was called Enigma, I think, about the machine, the secret machine, and I love the film really. Okay, and how do you inspire other people?
Excuse me, how do I what people?
How do you inspire other people?
Uh,
Mhm.
Hopefully in much the similar way. I try to open up people new possibilities and point them in the direction of the truth.
Mhm. That sounds very inspiring. You did this in this podcast episode with me. I learned a lot. Okay, my next question is, what are your gifts and talents?
Uh, Pretty much reason. I'm pretty
Mm.
good at taking a set of axioms and working through their logical implications. Uh, I have this kind of brain where I kind of can't remember nonsense, and so it really helps out with focus because when I have intrusive thoughts or passing ideas, they get filtered out by not being able to remember them very well.
Hmm, I think I'm the opposite. Yeah, yeah, but I just think that it has not to be true. Okay, and this is very amazing what you said. And when someone reaches out to you after listening to this episode, how can people help you with?
Well, I've quite recently started a petition. So one of the things that I'm doing with this market design is I'm attempting to patent it, and the
Mhm.
patent office is behaving very oddly and obscurely. And so in the last month, I've started this petition to try to bring into focus how much general interest there would be in having better economies. And so yes, anybody that would like to check that out and sign or support, it's on change.org. It's CDM patent, and I'd be very grateful.
Okay, we can put the link in the show notes if you like to. Of course, then people can click on it. We are on 13 platforms, I think, with this podcast. It's amazing. So you have bandwidth. I think this is the word. Okay. And do you have a special offer or service for the Inspired Podcast community you'd like to share with us?
Absolutely. So I actually do consulting or give talks on understanding uh, the AI and generative AI, super intelligence, general AI, and what those things mean, how to integrate them into more, shall we say, traditional kinds of jobs, and how to think about how uh, your management or organization might need to change in ways that will benefit you and your customers.
Mhm. That sounds great. Thank you so much. People, please reach out to Noah Healy. He's amazing. We learned so much. And I have the last question or um, something I want to ask to you. If you have a special quote you can share with us or a message.
Uh, well, my company's motto is "Better markets for a wealthier world." If we can improve the way that we organize things, then all of us can spend more time doing whatever it is we want to do.
Yes, that's so true. And I love this as the last word for this podcast episode. I'm so blessed to have this conversation with you. Thank you again so much for being here
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
and see you in the next episode.